so quiet. I know. All right. All right, we'll go ahead and call to order the city council meeting for Wednesday, September 11th, 2024. All 7 council members are present. The mayor is not here tonight, but we do have administrative staff and council staff. Mr. Anderson?
I'm sorry, I was going to let you know the mayor is joining online this evening.
Oh, he is joining online. He's not present in the building, but he is present in spirit and in eyes, ears, and microphone. Wonderful. When we get to his moment, well, he'll have a moment then. It is September 11th, and so we're going to do something a little bit different today. We have a flag ceremony from Troop 92. I just wanted to mention that, you know, it's a day where we pause a little bit to remember those who gave their lives that day, some people who were just going about their daily activities, and others who were doing some truly heroic things that day. And I hope we can all just think about that for a second as we have this flag ceremony, and then also think a little bit about September 12th and the unity and the togetherness and the support that we gave each other during that time, and just kind of think about that as we have this flag ceremony. So we'll go ahead and turn this over to Troop 92 to conduct the flag ceremony and follow their instructions.
Color attention. Audience attention. May the audience please rise. Color guard forward march. Salute. Color guard post the colors. Please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2. Color guard reform ranks. Color guard dismissed. The audience may be seated.
Thank you for that. That was great. We should do that every week. Okay, just kidding. All right, thank you for Troop 92 for your participation and assistance with that. That was great. Our next item on the agenda is our public comment period. This is your opportunity to address the council, anything that has to do with the city, more or less. And you'll have 3 minutes. If you're online, you need to raise your hand to be recognized and be able to speak. If you're in the room, you'll be able to just come forward. We do have one person who filled out a card, so they get to go first. This is Eric Browning. Go ahead and come on up to the microphone, and there will be a timer on the screen for your 3 minutes there.
Hello, council. Okay, I want one word changed on the chicken ordinance. So 4th bullet point down on the West Jordan website under chicken guidelines, it says, if chickens are cooped. You need to take out the if. This is my dog, Mika. She's no longer alive because of a chicken attack. Okay? That bird gouged her face from the bridge of her nose to her jaw. Okay? When we immediately took her to the vet for a $1,500 emergency surgery, she fell into kidney failure and she was dead 2 months later. Okay? Because my neighbors are irresponsible and they are not able to properly maintain their livestock on residential property. If you want to play farmer, go get agricultural land, okay? I am sick and tired of this. We need the ordinance changed because this is one death. What's going to happen when the next bird flies over a 5-foot fence and claws a child? Okay. Birds are nasty. Okay. These things have vicious, sharp claws. My dad grew up on a ranch. They did not have chickens for that reason. My friend Becky grew up on a farm in Utah County. She says, absolutely. Those birds will do that. Okay. We need this changed. Okay. Now, I'm not calling for all birds to go away. I'm saying we need it so that they are kept inside a pen, with any kind of panel, all that stuff you can get at IFA. My sister had chickens. Her chickens never left the coop or the pen. Okay? This needs to stop because it's one dog now, it's another dog later, it's children later, it's other pets, it's cats, and I need this changed, okay? I'm also going to be attending the county council to go after the same ordinance. So I urge you to act and to change that line that says all chickens must be in some kind of a pen or coop, not allowed to free range with wings clipped, okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? I don't have any others that has signed up in advance. Is there anyone else who would like to address the council this evening? In the room. We do have a public hearing coming up, by the way, on the transportation master plan. If you'd like to speak to that, that'll be here in just a minute. All right, I'm not seeing any others in the room. Is there any online, Mr. Anderson, with a hand raised?
There is one individual online and they have not raised their hand to speak.
Perfect. All right, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move to item 4 on the agenda. This is the reports to council. We'll start with city council reports and Councilmember Whitelock.
Thank you. First off, I think there's some West Jordan Jaguars here. Am I correct? I just want to say good work because there's no way it's the end of the semester already and you're already here. So either the teacher has changed it and it has to be in sooner, or you're just really studious. So good job either way on being here. Welcome to learning more about your government. It's a great thing to know about because it affects your lives. The other thing I just wanted to share is I just want to share appreciation to the staff for organizing visits for us to businesses and developments, and it's, and to facilities in the city. It's very helpful to get that perspective and to learn more about things in our city. So thank you.
Councilmember Green.
Thank you. A couple of quick things. Yesterday was the Association of Municipal Council meeting. For all the council, I did send you a copy of the slideshow that Representative Benyon gave to us yesterday. It's some information that might be beneficial as short-term rentals comes up in the next few months on our agenda. So I thought I would share that with you. As we all know, the Utah League of Cities and Towns convention was last week. And just a couple of things to report on what I learned and things that we need to pay attention upcoming. And if the city administration doesn't have it, I'll be glad to share some of this with you. But not next summer, but the summer after, July of 2026, it is the 250th anniversary of the United States. And what the Utah Department of Cultural and Community Engagement has is an America 250 Utah, and some things that we can do to make our celebration of the 4th of July and I am not going to try to say the word for whatever the heck 250 is. But anyway, I've got that, but I think that we ought to do something for You know, that should be a super special Western stampede for that year. A couple other things that I learned is that the Utah Commission on Service and Volunteerism has what they call a One Utah Service Fellowship. It is tied to AmeriCorps funding. But the interesting thing is that if there are, and the council office can do this, city administration can do this, if we need some help, like an employee, we can bring we can bring some of these people on in this service fellowship, like an AmeriCorps project where they can come work on specific projects or things over the course of a year or two. And the interesting thing is that we get that person in this fellowship, and all we have to do is match $5 an hour. So a very cost-effective method, and so we should look at that. And then the last one, I talked to a company, it is very interesting. This company does utility audits to make sure that we're paying the appropriate utility rate. The best thing about this company is they don't charge us unless they actually save us money. And then they split the savings with us. So it seems like what we should do, and we should look at this over the course of the next several months, and Corbin, I'll give you the information to you and to Paul. But it's something that I think we ought to look at. If we can save money on the city budget any way we can, and it doesn't cost us anything if we don't, I think it's a good deal. So anyway, I'll give you that information both on that company and America 250 after the meeting. And I think that's all I have. Thank you. Oh, the other thing that I did want to mention is thank you for the whatever the heck it is, topping in beam placement ceremony. The best, for those of you that don't know, today, the final beam, it's a tradition in construction that the final beam is hoisted into place in some sort of ceremony, and the final beam on the Community Arts and Events Center over here in by the rodeo was placed, and a bunch of people signed the beam. To me, now I'll get emotional. To me, somebody who spent a lot of time in the military, was to see that flag on the bottom of the beam unfurled on September 11th. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bloom.
Thank you, Councilmember Green, for your words on that. My dad was in the Pentagon on this day when it happened. So it's, yeah, we didn't hear from him for 3 days. So this will always have some core memories in my head for this. But I do want to say how appreciative I am for being able to attend the ULTC conferences and the networking and the education that we're able to bring back to the city to work on, you know, bettering our policies and coming up with ideas that enrich the city. And I'm excited to bring some of the stuff. I had some goals in mind that I was able to accomplish. So I'm excited to work with you guys and bring forth some of these ideas over the next year. So thank you for everybody that showed up, because it means a lot to me to be able to attend events like that, to come away inspired for what we can do with our city. And I had, the Parks Department, thank you for what you guys do. I had mentioned last time about the trash can that had gotten messed up and fixed. And then the next day they had a whole dog poop station instead. And the entire neighborhood is excited. It was exactly what we needed. So kudos to the park department, because everyone was so stoked on that when they saw it the very next day. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councilmember Bador.
It is great being a city where a poop station can get rally the people together. But it shows you that it's the little things that matter, that it's those things. And that is one thing that I think our city does very well. The little things that sometimes don't get noticed. Kudos. I think our Parks Department is great. I love our staff. And even though I haven't been able to attend, I have to echo what Councilmember Whitelock said about our staff setting up events for us to go and be places and see things. I've hated the fact that my other job makes it so I can't be at some of those, but I've loved the ones I've been at, and I've loved learning from those who have been to say, what did you see? What was good? And I've had conversations like with Councilmember Shelton about that. I want to echo real quickly how great it was to see the, I guess, beam ceremony we'll go with for the Arts and Events Center. That was something that literally years ago, what propelled me to want to be on this council was making sure that something like this started to happen within the city. Just one of the minor things, but to see it. And I want to let people know that for the last 10 years or so, I've helped manage a place like that in Midvale. And I can tell you that we put out a list of October, what dates are available. By mid-October, it's full. And then we get calls all year long for people who need a place. So this event center that has been put together will get used and will be something that this city can be proud of. And I'm very grateful to those on the councils before me that helped push this through and that we get this going. But it was great to finally see something start to come close and to hear from the construction crew that they believe that they are still on track to have this open in spring of 2025.
Thank you. Councilmember Lamb.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Jacob. There we go. For those of us that live in District 1 and District 2, we have this busy street called 1300 West. And it is unfortunately a utility corridor. But when I say unfortunately, it's fortunate that we have a utility corridor because it brings us water, it takes our sewage, et cetera. So as much as I hate the construction, I was driving along this past week and I saw the old pipes, the old water pipes. They're about, I don't know, for those of you who aren't here, they're about this big. The new pipes are about twice as big, and it's the new, I don't want to say a plastic, but the old pipes were probably 40 years old, and they were being corroded by the dirt and everything else, and they were disintegrating and breaking all the time. So while I am not a fan of construction on 1300 West, just like everyone else in the city is not a fan of construction anywhere, I do see progress. And it's one of the things when I ran this past year to be on the council is I wanted to see progress in fixing our older and dilapidated utilities that need to be fixed now because they're old. So thank you to Greg and your department for getting that together. And I know we still have a few more months before it's going to be finished. But to see those brand new water pipes and know that we're getting those replaced, it's something that we need to get done here in the city. And I'm thankful for that. So thank you.
Councilmember Shelton.
I'd like to start off by just echoing the thank you to our Boy Scout troop who came in today and did this flag ceremony for us on September 11th. Brought special feelings to my heart to have that happen. I'm proud to say that I'm an Eagle Scout, and I love you guys. Thanks for being who you are, and thanks for being in Scouts. I don't want to do a full travelogue of the things I've been able to get, see and do over the last few weeks, but did get to go out and do a tour of Wood Ranch with a number of people from the city and also Councilmember Whitelock. Beautiful development happening out on our west side, up in the foothills of the city. Really fun to see that. And then Monday, had a great ride along with the Parks Department. I learned a little bit about their struggles in keeping up with maintenance while they're also doing projects like the beautification of Pioneer Hall. that is one department in our city. They work so hard for us, and thank you. I see you in the back. Thank you, Corey. I also learned about some problems on the Jordan River Trail at 7800 South, and I'm hoping to make a slight change in the transportation plan because of what I saw on Monday. We had a Pitmaster grand opening. That was a lot of fun on August 31st. We had the Big Bend Restoration Area on the Jordan River event on August 30th. That was wonderful. We also had the West Jordan, or sorry, the Chamber West Gala on August 28th. That was wonderful to attend, and just am very grateful for our community and the wonderful people who make up our city, and also even more so that our city staff. I've learned more and more about how hard our city staff works, that people just don't see it. You know, we do our best to keep our budget low, and I've become so conflicted because we do need to save our taxpayers' money, but then I see the work that our city staff is doing and how hard they work for us, and I want to be able to provide for them and their families as much as they provide for our cities, or for our city, I should say. So thank you so much for city staff who's taken time out of their schedule to allow me to come along and see what's really happening on the ground. That's all I have.
Thank you. And just to make it an even 7 for 7, I'll go ahead and just mention as I do at least once a month, I rush from the water district over to here after their meeting and before this meeting. And sometimes that means I leave a little early, but today it was just in time. So I wanted to share with the council, and I guess anybody who wants to read it, they just published their summary. The Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District just published their summary of operations for fiscal year 2024. I think you can get this online, but if you want to look at a paper copy, I have it. I'll leave it up here. This goes into, there's a lot of cool information in here, and you just might want to peruse it. Goes into the water deliveries, how much water they put out. There's standards for chlorine and for other additives and purification, conservation efforts, capital projects, lots of interesting stuff, as well as just some operation stuff like their vehicle summary and their pipeline summary and how many valves they have and all sorts of interesting stuff like that. So if you want to look at that, Jordan Valley Water Conservancy District services a bunch of cities in the Salt Lake Valley, including West Jordan, South Jordan, Riverton, Harriman, Draper, Magna, Kearns, and I'm sure I'm leaving some out. It's most of the west side of the valley, West Valley City, most of the west side of the valley, and a lot of the southern part of the valley, along with a lot of individual customers as well. So anyway, that's up here. If anybody wants to look at it, I'll leave it up here. It's interesting stuff. All right, and with that, we'll conclude the council reports and go to the council office report and go to Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. I just would like Mr. Hallmark to talk about youth council and their event they had yesterday.
The Youth Council program is off and running. Yesterday, we met at the Public Works facility, and they were thrilled to be taken on a tour by Brian Clegg. We appreciate him and his efforts. They loved the map making room. Thrilled that you could make a yield sign right here in our own backyard. So they were really excited. We did get 2 late applicants, so our number is actually up to 15. We're excited by that number, and we cap out at 20. So for you youth in the audience, if you're interested in the Youth Council, reach out to us and we'd love to have you on board. There are papers on that back table if you're interested, but program's off and running. Thank you for your continued support.
And that's all we have for tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Excellent. Next item on the agenda is the mayor's report. Mayor, online, I assume you would like to say something.
I would. Thank you for letting me participate remotely. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, if Mr. Hallmark wants to put the slide up. Great. You have already mentioned today is September 11th. And I just am glad that these Boy Scouts were, I'm sorry, that the Scouts were able to come and participate in this and share the flag ceremony with us today. I had the privilege of serving in New York City for a couple of years, and I have been in that building. And this is an important part of our history that we need to make sure we don't forget, that we take the lessons we've learned and the way we've improved ourselves from that date. So thank you for taking a few minutes to recognize that. I had the opportunity to attend the Jordan School District Family Fun Fair, the FFF, Family Fun Fair. Thank you, Council. And they wanted to add their thank you for extending the ability for them to use and close that street off. As you can see, that bottom left-hand corner picture, that was them out there going to their food trucks. The bottom right is inside the Viridian. They had that packed there. And those on the top are those who organized and put this on and who sought for the use and the fee waiver from the council. And they wanted to extend their thank you for that. So there's your thank you. Also, the Viridian, we had our first Friday last Saturday, and this was the band that played, and that's the lady who sang. It was a great event. This was turned, so it was outdoors in their amphitheater section. The weather was great for it, and the sun set, and it was just a beautiful evening. Our next one will be the first Friday in October. So if that's not on your calendar, feel free to put that on there. The West Jordan Youth Theater is presenting Descendants. That is a fun little Disney musical. I got an opportunity to see it. Their last week is this week. So if you don't have tickets to it yet, hurry and get your tickets and go see that. And it is held at that theater that Councilmember Bador said is hard to schedule in until they can start scheduling in our new building, which is making progress. They still continue to do it over there in Midvale. So when you have an opportunity, go check that out. And the food truck roundup, that continues. We had our very last market day yesterday, but we will continue through the month of September on Tuesdays at Ronwood Park, have our food trucks. If you haven't been there yet, or if you have, please come back. West Jordan's Passport Palooza. That'll be September 21st. That's the Saturday from 9 to 1. You don't need an appointment. Just come and get your passport. We'll have extra agents there in order to process your passports for you. So if you've been procrastinating, here's your chance to get it taken care of. That'll be Saturday, September 21st from 9 to 1 o'clock. Council, I want to thank you for attending the Utah League of Cities and Towns Conference. I love it when it's right here in Salt Lake and it makes it easy for us to attend. I think what they provide for us as mayor and council and staff helps us do a better job in our city and makes our city a better place. And 99% of cities throughout the state of Utah are members of the Utah League of Cities and Towns. And when we can learn from other people without having to go through the same mistakes, it benefits all of us. So thank you for taking the time to attend that. I look forward to seeing you at the semi-annual conference in April. And then Corbin may have or delegate something on the fire department coming up. And we have a ribbon cutting Monday coming up. You should have received an email on that or an invitation. If not, I will make sure you get that this week so you can join us for the ribbon cutting on Monday. And that is my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Hope you're having a good time not being here.
I am. I rode my bicycle about 90 miles yesterday. I'm having a great time.
Wow, that's more than me. I only rode about 20 yesterday. We'll go to City Administrator's report. Go to Mr. Lee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At a previous council meeting, we noted that we were going to do a soft opening of the skate park portion of the Wheels Park. That has been very, very popular. I think any of you who have been out there to Ronwood Park have seen kids are loving it. And I say kids, the average age is actually quite a bit older than I would have expected. We're seeing, everybody out there using it. So the rest of the park will be finished and we will hold a grand opening for the Wheels Park first phase on October 12th. To tentatively block out the morning of October 12th, I think the event will run from approximately 10 to noon. We're going to do a ribbon cutting, but we're also going to do an event and try to get a lot of people out there to use the park and be aware of this new facility we have in our community. So October 12th. With that, I'd like to also.
What
yes,
time are you going to do that?
we're tentatively planning from about 10 to noon.
I would say you need to look at the schedule. That's the same day that we have the Faith in Blue breakfast.
Oh, okay. We'll check. Thank you.
So we probably want to push it a little bit later in the day.
Okay. And good, thank you. Good catch. I have two departments I'd like to give you an update. First, our fire department got an EMAC request. I'd like them to brief you on that. And then I'd like Greg to update you on a couple of public utilities projects.
Good evening, council. As probably all of you are aware, California's burning. If you notice this afternoon, all the smoke. Early this afternoon, the state reached out to us and said they had received an EMAC request from California looking for a task force of firefighters to go down and help. We've looked at our staffing and we believe we can help with that and not impact our operations here in West Jordan. So we selected 3 firefighters that will be taking one of our brush trucks down to California. They will be deploying tomorrow morning at 10:30. They'll all meet at the Maverick Center and hit the road. And they will be on deployment for up to 14 days plus 2 days of travel. So, and then just so that you're aware, the state of California will be covering all the costs of transportation, lodging, pay for those firefighters, as well as reimbursing us for the use of our engine at a contracted rate that we have. So just wanted to let you know that they're going to be doing that and joining with, I think there were about 8 or 9 other departments that are going to be sending people down to California. So any questions? All right, thank you.
Just a couple quick updates of utility projects we have going on. Our New Bingham Highway Sewer project is almost complete. They've completed all of the underground work and they've repaved that road. They are raising manholes this week and hopefully you should start seeing traffic control leaving that site. The last thing they have to do is to go into the already constructed manholes and abandon some lines and prepare for the new flow and the others. So they should be done very soon. Because they're going to be done very soon, that contracting group, Rolf Construction, will be remobilizing for the Executive Drive Storm Drain Project. They plan next week to begin in 70th South at Executive Drive, and they'll be connecting to our city system that's existing and going into Executive Drive. Because of that, 70th South will be 1 lane in each direction, so there will be limited traffic flow. We expect that to last for about 2 weeks as they make that pipe connection to our existing system into Executive Drive. Kim hopes to be able to complete with all of the project inside the roadway before Thanksgiving. And that's all that I had.
Thank you. All right. All right. Is that it, Corbin, from your?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect. Next item on the agenda is our public hearing for the evening. This is for ordinance 24-32, amending the West Jordan City Transportation Master Plan. And we will turn first to Mr. Clegg, Brian Clegg from the city, to introduce us on that item. By the way, Councilmember Green, the word, Brian's coming, or sorry. Well, Nate's coming up. That's not Brian. The word for 250-year anniversary is semi-quincentennial.
That's what I said. That's why I said I can't pronounce it.
Good evening. It's nice to be with you here tonight. We're here to present an update, a periodic update to our transportation master plan. It's an update that occurs about every 7 to 10 years. It basically, you'll notice that there aren't any major, earth-shattering things in there, no new big expressway through the city or anything like that. In fact, a lot of the changes might be subtle. So we're going to go through the master plan and kind of hit on the highlights. But I just want to say a couple of things about what's new and what kind of drives this. The most important thing that comes out of it is a new list of future projects that gives us a planning tool for seeking funding requests from council budgeting, city budgets, from federal budgets, and other applications that we can put in. So it's important to have an updated list of project priorities. Another thing that drives it is the changing land use. We've got a lot of higher density developments that have occurred. The land use plan is updated and oftentimes allows higher densities, which increases the amount of traffic. We had a committee that was put together to steer this project. We had the mayor was very involved and attended all of the meetings. We've had some open houses. We've engaged the public. There was a poll or a survey that went out and where we obtained a lot of information from the public. And in the end, I think we've come up with a plan that will be very workable. Another thing that's important is that we get the plan adopted so that we can update our impact fees, and the impact fees will allow us to further fund the projects that come up in the future. We did engage a lot of key stakeholders, neighboring cities, utility companies, businesses, and public, and we received input from them. With that, we retained WCG Consulting Group, and they've done a very good job providing all the technical analysis and helping us assemble this master plan. So I'm going to turn the time over to Scott Johnson from WCG, and he's going to kind of walk you through some of the details. It's very similar to what you saw when they came to the committee of the whole. He's going to go through it again just for retention and so that we can present it to the public. So I'll turn the time over to Scott.
Excellent. So my name is Scott Johnson with the Wall Consulting Group. We had the privilege to work on this transportation master plan. We've enjoyed working with the staff and others in the city, and we hope to keep working with them in the future. So like Nate said, with the previous transportation plan was adopted in 2014. Some things within the city have changed in the last 10 years. And this updated transportation master plan reflects those changes, and it addresses the new projected conditions going forward. So the transportation master plan is in a, oh, there we go. So the transportation master plan, has been submitted to the city in a formal report. We have found it useful in our experience to duplicate that or the high points of that in what's called a GIS story map, which you can see on the screen here. The story map we update as the study progresses up until it's adopted or completed, and it provides high levels of information. It's very visual, easy to navigate, which 100-page document might be a little more daunting. The document does have all the details, all the citations, and anything, can answer any questions that we have. So just to go through this, we'll go through in a high level, the story map. the first thing that we typically do is we look at existing conditions. We calibrate our models to that to make sure that we have the current conditions, calibrated, and it informs our future modeling. We look at several things, including safety. We collected crash data for the city, and we've compiled it into these maps to show where the most crashes are occurring. We especially look at fatal and serious injury crashes. As those are the most impactful, the most tragic, and the ones that we try the hardest to prevent. You can see here the map of fatal and serious injury crashes since 2017. And this allows us to look for potential projects to help mitigate these crashes. If we can see a trend or a common theme to crashes at one location or on one segment of roadway, we can try to create solutions to prevent those types of crashes. One thing that we found was that West Jordan has a higher percentage of severe injury crashes than surrounding cities. And there's a few reasons for this, or possible explanations for this. One would be West Jordan's doesn't have any freeways, and other cities, where a freeway passes through Sandy, that's a lot of vehicle miles traveled with relatively few accidents or crashes. And so that might skew the statistics a little bit, but nevertheless, this was a big focus of the city staff and something that we worked to address, in order to make West Jordan a better place. We took a look at the existing transit services within the city. You can see a map here of the different transit services. We do this to identify opportunities for the future and find places where transit service could be beneficial to the transportation network as a whole. It's pretty obvious here that the west side is lacking in public transit options. We engaged with UTA to try to improve that or better service that side of the city. We looked at future plans for both the WFRC and UTA to ascertain what they plan for the future, and then we can reflect those plans in our study as well. I don't know if I'm going to be agile enough to do this here. There we go. A lot of these maps, have dual information. So this is the WFRC's regional transportation plan, shows their planned projects for the future. Slide it to the left, and you can see UTA's future plan, improvements or expansion of their service within the city. We mentioned the station area plans. This is something going on throughout the state. More information can be found about them there, how that relates to transit and land use. The Transportation Master Plan incorporated the active transportation plan, which was done in 2019. So this is your trails, bike lanes, non-vehicle facilities. And so we didn't make changes to the active transportation master plan, but we included it in the document and acknowledged it and made sure that everything else incorporated with that. So one important tool in the forecasting of future traffic conditions is the travel demand model. We use the Wasatch Front travel demand model, which is maintained by WFRC and MAG. It covers both of those areas, so from Weber Davis all the way down through Utah County. And then we have staff who specializes in travel demand modeling, and they were able to take the Wasatch Front plan and amend that with more updated information that we received from the city, as well as we received from surrounding cities. We've done a lot of work in this side of the valley have a great understanding of, future plans for each of the cities. And so we were able to tailor the demand model to best inform our projections for West Jordan. And so with the travel demand model, it incorporates land uses, planned roadway facilities, and it has a travel time feedback loop. So it's an iterative process that the model runs and then estimates the amount of traffic on each roadway. We can compare the projected amount of traffic or daily trips to the capacity of the roadway or the planned capacity of the roadway and assign that a level of service. Level of service A is obviously the best, F is the worst. Most cities, including West Jordan, uses a level of service D standard. So, if we can get everything to D or better, then we're really excited about that.
Quick question for you. Do you guys, when you do these studies, do you have any say on traffic flow for traffic signals? So for instance, if I'm driving on 78th, I can see that the traffic signals aren't lined up. Do you guys consult with UDOT on that about how to better utilize the traffic flow with the signals?
Yeah, so there's actually a section in the document that recommends continuing to coordinate with UDOT on like UDOT roads. So this model doesn't account for intersection delay necessarily. It's more of a roadway capacity. For long-term projections, predicting intersection delay specifically can be difficult, but we can generally, for planning purposes, we do it, on a ADT basis. But I believe the city and UDOT is actually pretty proactive in updating, and maintaining those signals. So
thank you.
Yep.
Just to follow up with Councilmember Lamb's question. When there are intersections that are, for lack of a better word, not functioning correctly, where did those get reported to and how? Like on 70, the one I'm thinking of is 78th and 22nd, that the left turn light never actually turns green. It's always just a yellow flashing, no matter how many cars are in the queue.
Yeah.
And those yellow flashing lights, when there's when there's the fourth car or more, it's supposed to turn to a steady green. It never does. So Nate, maybe you're the better person to answer that, but how do we go about fixing those so it helps the overall traffic flow when we're talking about this stuff?
We get those kind of calls quite frequently. In fact, the mayor's probably our number one contributor because he gets calls. And he contacts Nestor Gallo, our traffic engineer, who will generally contact the UDOT Traffic Operations Center, if it's a UDOT traffic, and report it to them, and they can monitor it from their center, see live cameras and see how things are functioning, and they can adjust. In fact, a kind of a funny little story is I go home on Redwood Road and I turn left on 106 South. And one day I was going home and the left turn lane was only given about 3 seconds of green time. And I actually had the phone number in my phone, so I called and told them that, and I saw it in real time. The light switched and stayed on, and it cleared out a big long queue. So don't tell anyone that.
Can I get that number? Can I get that?
And I didn't tell him who I was. But if it's a county signal, or if it's a city signal, then we contact our contact at the Salt Lake County, which is a guy named Kenny Barrier, and he's really good at he provides maintenance on all of our city signals, and they can make adjustments to city signals. So we do have the ability to put input on both UDOT and city signals.
Sorry for that sidetrack.
No worries. UDOT actually has an app and a web portal where you can report things like that, and they're fairly responsive on that, so you can look that up. So this is the existing conditions 2023 levels of service for the city of West Jordan. You'll notice that, the city has a lot of north-south corridors, which is excellent, but there's only a few east-west corridors through the city, and only one of those goes completely through the city and connects to I-15, which is 90th South. And you can see that those east-west corridors are fairly congested, and I'm sure that's no surprise to anyone who drives through the city. There's some other, locations north-south, the Bacchus Highway is, congested towards the north side. But, our east-west travel is fairly constrained within the city. We used the travel demand model to project 2033 conditions. That was our first horizon year. So, we estimate that, went the wrong way. So with the planned growth in the city by the year 2023, we forecasted average daily traffic on each roadway and the corresponding levels of service that go along with that. We did this for 2033 and for 2050. Using these forecasts, we compiled a list of recommended projects, both roadway and intersection projects to improve capacity and better serve the traffic demands. So without any of those improvements, you can see the level of service in the city and the surrounding area. And if we slide this back to the left, with the recommended improvements by 2033, the level of service improves overall. There's still some places that are congested, and we recognize those pinch points, and we've looked at possible alternatives or ways to alleviate that. Some are viable, some are not, and that's what we project the level of service will be in that time frame. Similar with 2050. This was the final planning horizon year for this study. Without the recommended projects, we see a lot of red up there, which is not desirable. But with the recommended projects, a lot of that, particularly on the west side of the city, ameliorates. We still have congestion, especially on 90th South and the other east-west corridors within the city. So we have roadway projects. We've categorized those into 3 phases: phase 1, 2, and 3. And this is based on basically the timeline of which we anticipate that they'll be needed. So within the next 10 years, we recommend several projects. You can see each of those by phase listed on this map here. And then they're also sorted by scope. So we have, roadway widening, operations, new construction, and there's a 4th one there that I can't see, but, allows you to, sort through and identify projects that are recommended in the Transportation Master Plan. Similarly, we have recommended intersection projects sorted the same way. And then also grouped by type. So, we have new signals, roundabouts, high T intersections. We have new interchanges on here. One thing to note, not all of these projects are necessarily on the city. Included in these projects are, for example, the Mountain View Corridor improvements that are coming down the pipe. That obviously would be borne by the state. And there's other projects that way, and we've listed which ones are city projects, which ones will be done by future development, which ones are done by the state, et cetera, for both the roadway and the intersections. Here's a map showing the existing network, the functional classifications of the major roadways, as well as the intersection controls. And then we have a future map with the same information showing future, future roadways, recommended functional classifications, and also recommended intersection control types. As part of the master plan, we developed a new set of roadway cross sections for the different functional classifications. All but the local roads, so collectors and arterials, include buffered bike lanes. And that was something we got a lot of feedback on, and we included in the plan. The end of the end of the story map here includes a map that is interactive in nature. It'll allow you to turn on layers. You know, we can look at truck routes within the city. That was another thing that we were asked to include in the master plan. And you can compare that to, you know, future UTA services. You know, if you want to compare, you know, customize a map to give you the information that you'd like, you know, this is available in the story map as well. So that's the end of my presentation on the master plan. I'm happy to entertain questions or comments if there are any.
Any questions? You good? All right, I guess you did a good enough job.
I'll be here for a minute, so.
All right, any discussion or questions before we open the public hearing? We want to give the public a chance to weigh in before we talk too much about it. Councilmember Shelton.
Will I have an opportunity after public?
Yes.
Okay, I'll wait.
Yep. Okay, great. So we'll go ahead and open the public hearing on this item. This is to adopt the updated West Jordan City Transportation Master Plan. If you're here to speak on this item, this would be your time to come and address the council. Same rules apply as with the citizen comment period at the beginning. You have 3 minutes. Just give us your name and tell us who you are and what you think. And if you're online, you need to raise your hand if you want to address this item. I'm not seeing anybody in the room interested. Go see if there, oh, we got one in the room. Come on up. If you're online, hang on a second.
I'm Ross Dinsdale. We've met before.
Sure.
As a representative of a landowner, the city staff has been really good in keeping us updated on what they've been doing related to the master plan. And I know WCG does good work, so yeah, we're supportive of it. I think you guys have done a good job, and West Jordan City, I feel like does a good job at building in ways that help keep their residents safe. And obviously nothing's perfect, but yeah, we've had a good experience in the process. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else in the room? Here in the council chambers, not seeing anybody else rushing up to the microphone. Anybody online with a hand raised, Mr. Anderson?
There are 4 individuals online, none of whom have raised their hand, Chair.
Perfect. We'll go ahead and close the public comment or public hearing on ordinance 2432 and bring this back to the council for discussion and or a motion when the time comes. Councilmember Whitelock.
I do have a couple of questions. On page 2, the annexation area, and I don't know, Nate, if it'll be you or who will answer this, but does this annexation area that's in our transportation master plan match what is on the Salt Lake County's annexation plan?
I believe it does. I think that's where it came from, was our own annexation ordinance.
When we vote on this, am I just accepting the plan or am I approving the plan?
You'll be approving the plan, but nothing having to do with annexation. The annexation is just kind of a graphic to show that the city could possibly expand further west in the future.
So if I say yes, I'm agreeing with everything in this plan? Or am I just accepting that this will be our plan?
This will be our plan that will be adopted, and that will become our city plan.
So I'm adopting it?
Yes.
Okay. The truck route, it mentions that it will be updated. I was wondering what the expected time frame to bring that to the council is.
I'll have to talk to Nestor, our traffic engineer. I know he's done some work on that, but, and we've had some discussions with our legal staff because we want to not only update the truck routes, but we want to, we've got some things in mind as far as our ordinance that backs up the truck route ordinance and how that is changed and modified. So I don't have a date for you on that, but that is in the works.
Okay. And then when I looked at page 79 and it talks about 2700 west and 7800 south, I think that's already done. So have we already, I mean, they already have dedicated left turn lanes and they already have the signals. So
Okay.
shouldn't our plan, if you're bringing it to me today to accept and adopt, shouldn't it indicate in my plan that that's completed?
I'll have to double check that. I'm not certain if that's just called, maybe it's a second left turn lane or something. I'm not familiar with that particular call out in the plan. I'd have to check. on
Well,
that.
does he know?
Look it up.
Well, it's, okay. It just says, therefore, protected left turn phasing is recommended at this intersection. When I look at that
Oh.
intersection, it looks to me like that's there.
Does it have a green arrow turn lane, a protected left turn lane now?
Uh-huh.
Okay, if that's already done, then
I just think when a plan comes to us, if things have been done from the day you wrote it, I just think it should be, because the public can read this, right? So I want them to know if something's already been completed, that we've done it. Thank you.
That light actually has protected permitted. It's the green, it's the arrow
okay, so
and
it's
the
got
circle.
both.
Yeah. Councilmember Green, you're up.
You know what? I can't remember what I was gonna ask. It was something that, it was something to follow up on what you asked, and now I can't remember what it was. So, if I think about it, I'll ask.
Councilmember Shelton.
Thank you. On page 70 of the master transportation plan, paragraph 2, it states that there will be a 90-degree intersection at Duck Ridge Way and 90th South. And I am concerned about that. I've met with residents in this area. They are concerned about 90th South dropping right onto Duck Ridge Way. And I would just like to ask the council if, as a body, we could support a plan that would not drop traffic off of 90th South onto Duck Ridge Way. And I just do a quick straw poll here. That should have come out of a work session. I'm sorry, but I was not aware of this until just yesterday when I was reading. I have talked with Councilmember Green about this. But it's something that the residents out there are very concerned about. And I believe there could be, with minor changes, we could alleviate a lot of safety concerns of traffic dropping directly off of 90th South onto Duck Ridge Way. So maybe I'm too late to make that change. Can anyone direct me that's a little more experienced?
I would just say that was looked at fairly extensively in a prior study. It's called our 90th South Corridor Study. That was completed in, I think, a year ago in 2023. And then we did, because of the residents' concerns, not necessarily because of that specific issue, but because of the likelihood of extending 90th South due west between the copper.
Between 6,400 and
Yeah.
yeah. And
but anyway,
I'll
so we
jump
did a
in.
follow-up study.
The neighbors out there, they don't want 90th South extended at all, right?
We're aware of that.
And that's, and as I am painfully aware of also. And I wish, you know, in a perfect world, we could accommodate that, but we can't. I feel like we could still maintain access to the park, to the Ronwood Park, and not drop traffic directly onto Duck Ridge Way. I feel like there's a way to make that happen, that it wouldn't be an extreme disruption on what the plans already are. So that's something I'm asking for. Can that be revisited at the time of the constructions are actually happening, or like it's not set in stone right now, is it?
Right. Just, you know, should we adopt the master plan tonight, it'll be adopted, but it's always something that can be amended. And we do that from time to time anyway.
Right.
So if we were to adopt the plan tonight and council wanted to direct staff to, and we could meet or hold some work sessions, but if council wanted to direct staff to further or to, you know, re-examine this exact location, it definitely could be done. And then we could, you know, proceed accordingly without holding up the rest of the master plan and being able to move on to our next phase of the master plan, which is updating our impact fees.
Yeah, and that's, I certainly don't want to hold up the entire master plan over one intersection, right?
Yeah, and we would love to share a lot of the ideas that were brought up and that were discussed, and you know, there might be potential to change that. Again, you know, nothing's permanent until it's built.
Thank you. And then on page 71, in the first paragraph, there's a little question there that I had, and that is replacing the bridge over the Jordan River at 7800 South. And well, of course, while I support this bridge replacement, and I believe that will be a UDOT project, correct?
It will be a UDOT project to the degree that it'll probably involve federal funds, but it's not a UDOT road in that location.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. Thank you. So I very much support the rebuild of the 7800 South Bridge over the Jordan River, and that's not my concern, but rather the active transportation path that goes underneath that bridge is completely flooded out almost every year. And I'm sure you guys are also very aware of what's happening there. And so my concern is that we address that. I'd like to see that addressed in the plan, that as a city, we want to fix that problem. We want to have that trail connect. And I got to see firsthand just a couple of days ago what our residents are having to do in order to get around that flooded portion of the trail. And most of them choose not to go clear up to the crosswalk. They jaywalked right across 7800, and it's a very dangerous point for them to be choosing to traverse versus going up to the crosswalk.
Okay. If I could share, we have been doing some work on that. I've had some conversations with Midvale City, the city engineer there. We're aware of a state bridge replacement program that's out there, and we've met with the state via some phone calls and various things. Our goal, we're aware of the problem for both reasons, both the trail underneath, the bridge is too low, and then the condition of the bridge. The bridge is, it needs to be replaced from a replacement standpoint. And so when it is replaced, it'll be put at a higher grade, and it'll accommodate a trail that won't get flooded out.
And I don't want to throw anyone under a bus, but I heard that UDOT would be against raising the elevation of that bridge because of the tracks train bridge that's just adjacent. Can you speak to that?
I can't speak to the degree of what, you know, the curvature of the roads would need to be. So that's something that
Yeah,
would have to
that-
be examined.
Okay. And again, I don't want to hold up the whole transportation master plan. Those are just 2 points I saw that I felt weren't adequately addressed, and I wanted to bring it up and just make it public. Thank you.
It is listed in our list of projects as a capacity and widening project, but part of that would be a bridge replacement. But you're right, the trail itself probably is inadequately addressed.
Thank you.
Councilmember or Council Director Anderson, did you want to chime in on
Yeah,
this?
thank you, Chair. I was just going to mention in talking with Mr. Clegg earlier today, the city, my understanding, had done a no connection study at Duck Ridge. And that was emailed to the council back on March 14th, 2024. So that study that Councilmember Shelton is talking about was done, and it did show the traffic impacts that would elevate because of that not being connected. But that was done a few months ago, and that was sent to each of you.
That's entitled the no build study, I think, that was conducted as a response to the residential concerns in that area.
Thank you, Council. I have some thoughts on that, but I'm going to go to the ones who are waiting in line here. Councilmember Green.
2 things. One, I agree with Councilmember Shelton about the Duck Ridge intersection. I talked to Brian a little bit earlier today. I think we can be a little bit more creative on that intersection, drop New Bingham Highway coming from the south and have it come a little farther east, and we shift the intersection, the four-way intersection a little farther east, and then the road goes and connects to the other old New Bingham Highway that goes around to connect to Duck Ridge, so that my concern is those first 3 houses, when right there at that 90th South and Duck Ridge intersection, we're going to kill them. Traffic coming in and out of there, they're going to go. And so we've got to do everything we can to mitigate the traffic going into that Duck Ridge intersection. And I think we can move the intersection a little farther east and help that neighborhood maintain some semblance of quietness.
Well, we'd definitely love to have that conversation. There are some ripple effects
Oh, yeah.
in terms of property acquisitions and
I
some
think
other impacts.
I think most of the what's funny is I think most of the property there we own. So, but we can look, but there may be some things that's where the council has to make a decision. Do we keep the intersection at Duck Ridge? Do we shift it? How much more is it going to cost us? Those kind of things. But without that data, we can't make an informed decision. So, the other one that now I remember what I was going to be because of what, it happened to be just below the bridge thing as I'm following along with Councilmember Shelton. It's the truck routes. I know it says in the master plan, it's recommended the current truck route ordinance be updated. We have got to update the truck route ordinance. I don't know who's responsible for that, but that part of city code hasn't been updated for over 15 years. If I remember right, when we were updating part of the parking ordinance, that's been at least 15, maybe 20 years that section of code hasn't been updated. And the question is, do we have to have that in city code in the first place to designate truck routes? And then the second question is, if we do, let's get it updated so that people know what the truck routes really are and where they need to be. Because without a current ordinance, without the ordinance being current, it doesn't make much sense.
I can answer that question. As I've talked to the traffic engineer, Nestor Gallo, and the way that this rendition of the updated transportation master plan is written, it's with the expectation that there will be a subsequent code amendment that will basically remove all the current text in the city code and replace it with a reference that identifies whatever the master plan says, those are the routes. So the whole idea was to make the changes in the master plan and then subsequently update the city code to simply refer to the master plan. So it's not in two places, if that makes sense.
Councilmember Lamb.
Thank you. So real quick, my thoughts on the Duck Ridge and 90th South is we could probably spend 2 hours with the 7 of us and everyone else trying to design intersection because we all have different ideas. So my suggestion is instead of trying to design it here on the dais is we set up a meeting with staff, and I would challenge Corbin and his staff and the mayor to set something up, because right now I've heard of 7 different ideas, plus the people that live out there of how they would like that intersection. And that way we can talk about it for 2 hours if we need to, not here in city council. And then we can design something that makes more sense. I mean, right now it's not a bad design, but there are issues that we're hearing about, not only from the dais here, but from the people that live out there as well. So I think we move ahead with the transportation plan, knowing that it's not set in stone, that we can still make changes as a city council and as a city.
Thanks, Chad. I do want to touch on the Duck Ridge Way thing just for a minute though, because I brought this up in our committee of the whole when we talked about this. I brought this up several times. The no build study that you're referencing, I just went back to refresh my memory. That was not connecting 90th to New Bingham
Correct.
there. That's not really about Duck Ridge Way. So that whole study that talks about where that is doesn't talk about what Councilmember Shelton's talking about, which is go ahead and connect 90th through, but cut off Duck Ridge Way and make it a cul-de-sac or something, you know, reconnect it some other way. That hasn't been looked at. That wasn't looked at in that study. That study was about one specific New Bingham 90th and that impact that would have. Cutting off Duck Ridge Way is not a regional impact thing. It affects half a dozen houses, right? And one neighborhood. Not like regional traffic.
You are correct. The no build study had to do with just the 90th South
right
connection.
Which I appreciate. That was a concern that has been brought up many times. A lot of people in that area don't even want 90th South to go through, to connect, to be the major arterial street that it kind of is and is going to be. That said, because you mentioned that the transportation plan can be amended at any time, I would be more comfortable approving this without that sentence in there or changing that sentence a little bit somehow. And I have an idea, and then approving it, and then if come back and say if we need, because it's really a reference point is how it's referenced on this page. It's not really saying that this is, you know, part of the, for transportation purposes, yada, yada, yada. It's really saying that that's where New Bingham and 90th are going to come together. It's not really about Duck Ridge Way, but because it mentions it, I would like to either change that sentence or delete that sentence for the very reason that Councilmember Shelton said. We don't want to hold up the whole plan over one tiny little intersection. But if we can tweak how that one tiny little intersection is mentioned in the plan so that we have a more comfort level with it. And then if we need to revisit it in the future, like you mentioned, we can, right? It can be amended in the future. Tell me what you think about this language. I would just change, because it says New Bingham Highway.
Chair,
Yeah.
can you just for the record and make sure Nate's following along, can you reiterate what page you're on?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's page 70. 71. No, it's on page 70, second paragraph. Page 70, the second paragraph. What it says currently, and I don't know if Alan, you want to put it on the screen or what, it says New Bingham Highway will be realigned to create a 90-degree intersection at Duck Ridge Way. Because we're really talking about where New Bingham Highway and 90th come together, how about we say New Bingham Highway will be realigned to create a 90-degree intersection at 90th South across from Duck Ridge Way? That way Duck Ridge Way isn't necessarily part of the intersection, but it tells you where it is.
I might suggest what you said, but across from Duck Ridge Way or in very close proximity.
Right. In the,
So it's
yeah.
not, because part of that, what I'm hearing is there might be some support to kind of move Duck Ridge Way and that intersection a little bit to the east.
Yeah, or turn Duck Ridge Way so it goes across. Right now, there's that little pedestrian connection to the Ron Wood Park Drive.
Right.
Just make that Duck Ridge Way and cut the whole thing off of 90th South, right? And you got to go around to get to the park from 90th South. Just there's a lot of ideas, and again, we can work on the ideas.
Maybe the best thing to do would be to strike that sentence, because then again, we're following Chad's advice. We're not trying to kind of redesign it, but we're just leaving the door open so that we can re-examine that.
How about New Bingham Highway will be realigned to create a 90-degree intersection with 90th South?
That's what I was just gonna suggest.
And we just leave out any
Yep.
reference to Duck Ridge Way or.
That would be great, I think.
Okay.
That's what I was just gonna.
That's what I
was just gonna suggest is
I would
just
be
replace the
comfortable with that.
words at Duck Ridge and say with 90th South.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That leaves the door wide open to deciding where you're going to put that intersection, right? Okay, great. That was my thoughts. Is there any other thoughts or emotion or questions or anything? Councilmember Green.
I am going to move to approve ordinance number 2432, amending the West Jordan City Transportation Master Plan, changing the words at Duck Ridge Way with the words with 90th South in the second paragraph on page 70 of the plan.
Second.
Excellent. We have a motion from Councilmember Green, a second from Councilmember Shelton, and we'll go to discussion to the motion. Councilmember Bloom.
I just want to say thank you for all the hard work on this. I know there's a lot that goes into it and many years and many studies, and I just wanted to publicly say thank you for this. And I know the residents are thankful as we grow and move forward. So again, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I had just one other comment. If we didn't have such a substantive issue brought up, I was going to make just the somewhat superficial comment that in your presentation on the website and on the cover page of the Transportation Master Plan, put pictures of West Jordan, not Sandy, not Midvale. You've got like a picture that has like West Jordan on the very, very bottom of it, and then you got Midvale and Sandy in the mountains, which are very pretty, but do that on their master plan, not on ours. Councilmember Green.
One last comment. Cindy, I just sent you a screenshot with the words circled so that you know exactly what we're talking about in the motion. So when you go back and we need to change something, you have exactly what we're talking about.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. I think we're clear on the motion. Any further discussion? I'm not seeing any, so let's go ahead and vote.
Chair Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Bador,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom.
Yes.
Thank you. I show the motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. And thank you for the flexibility on that one. That's just an intersection that has a lot of eyeballs on it right now. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks, Troop. You guys don't have to stay any longer. Go get some ice cream. All right, next item on the agenda is business item 6A. This is ordinance 2439, adopting the 2025 annual meeting schedule for city council and agency boards. Go to Mr. Anderson to introduce the item. We obviously talked about this
Thank you,
significantly a
council.
couple weeks
Thank
ago.
you, council. I think the last work session, we had a discussion on the 2025 meeting calendar. I wanted to present that to you a little earlier than we typically do, just because we're filling up, and several of you had suggested some changes. So what's on your screen right now is what was discussed at the committee of the whole meeting. So we go to 2 meetings a month on Tuesdays, and that's already been communicated to the administration so they could make what adjustments they may need to for Board of Adjustments and some of the other committees and entities that work, that hold meetings in this room. We've scheduled a legislative executive retreat for Friday and Saturday, the 10th and 11th, so we're not interfering with President's Day, which is on the, or sorry, Martin Luther King Day on the 20th. You see the dates highlighted there. There's a National League of Cities Conference in March, tentative ULCT conference the 16th to the 18th, which now that you're on Tuesday does not interfere with many of these meetings, external meetings. You also asked that the mayor's budget be presented to the council on May 6th, which is the first Tuesday in May. The budget approval deadline, just as a note, is the 27th. We also talked briefly about Juneteenth. Currently, that would be on the 16th, but I understand there's going to be a possible amendment to state law that would move it to the 19th, but that doesn't conflict anymore. Western Stampede, tentatively 3rd, 4th, and 5th. 2025, there is an election, a municipal election. So the primary board of canvass would be on Tuesday, August 26th. The general election would be on Tuesday, November 18th. So those are kind of the things that you asked for. The other thing that you asked for is the work session to begin at 4 p.m. on those meetings, and they would go till 6:30-ish, and then council meeting would begin at 7. The other note that you asked for is the months that have 5 Tuesdays, which are highlighted there in pink, that those would be additional committees of the whole meeting, and they would begin at 6 p.m. if there was a demand for that. If we didn't have a demand, we would just cancel those meetings if we didn't have items for the council to discuss. And you'll see the dates there. The second thing that you asked, if we can go to the next page, is the RDA. You asked that the board meet as an RDA once a quarter, and those would be on the last Tuesday in March, June, September, and then December. Let me take the camera off here. December 16th. So those red circles are when you would have an RDA meeting following city council meeting. Now, what I placed in front of you this afternoon is a substitute ordinance. Councilmember Green had mentioned, brought up some concerns about RDAs and FES and some of the agency meetings. In reviewing the code with our legal staff, legal team, the only meetings that the council needs to adopt a calendar is the city council meeting. So pages 1, 2, and 3 are the ordinance that you're approving tonight. Page 4 and 5 is the public notice. The Open Public Meetings Act in 52(4) states that all public bodies that schedule a meeting in advance need to be noticed. And so what I've done with the substitute 2439 is I've just basically redlined and all other city council boards and committees. There was also 113.1 has been amended since we've used this format. And so the whereas, the third whereas on your substitute has been deleted because 113.1 no longer talks about other city council bodies. And then Councilmember Green brought up that state law prohibits us from council from directing a subordinate of the mayor, which the city recorder is. So we just took out directed and just says in section 2, down about 2/3 of the way down, 3/4 of the way down, city recorder or designee is authorized to publish a copy of the annual meeting schedule. All the amendments that I am proposing on the substitute ordinance are on page 1. 2, 3, 4, and 5 stay the same. I left the FES and the Fairway Estates meetings on the public notice as a convenience to the residents. And I also need to make a change on page 4 on the redevelopment agency where it says August. That is a mistake and should say September. And that is what all of you had agreed to in the committee of the whole work session. And I'm just cleaned it up a little bit and we can use this new document going forward.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson, for that. I would just point out that also in the conversations that we had about this and putting this together, this is the very same ordinance we used last year, except for we made a couple of changes because it had survived some changes that should have been made when we changed the form of government, like directing the city recorder and, referencing sections of code that don't say that anymore. So-
Correct. What's in the packet has been used for probably 20 plus years. The only change was made in 2020 when the planning commission was removed from it because of the form of government, and the others were inadvertently left in there. So we can,
Been
you can
cleaned up a little
approve either one. The
Right.
substitute is cleaner, and the substitute is what we will begin using in following years.
Right. Perfect. All right. Discussions or questions, Councilmember Green?
Since you're fixing the redevelopment section, and I sent you an email and you'll see this, I suggest that we move we can consolidate the whole calendar, but I would suggest the redevelopment get moved to the redevelopment section so that it doesn't say city council redevelopment, then you got a separate section of redevelopment. So, but I think that can be the same modification as the date that you're talking about as a Scrivener or formatting error. So I don't think we need to put that in the motion, but I would ask you to look at that.
That's fine. We can do that as a Scrivener error. My recommendation would be to just approve the subordinate and or the substitute and let us take care of the rest.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilmember Whitelock.
And this, I'm not directing, but I'm certainly, encouraging our executive team to ensure that the correct calendars are on our website for our council meetings. And it would be sure nice if they were easy to find because residents reach out to me on fairly regular basis asking when we're meeting because it's a little bit tricky to find. And the one that's on our current year calendar is wrong. It has 2023, not 2024. So if we could just ensure that those calendars are accurate and on the website, easy to find, that should be great. Thank you.
Wait, we're in 2024? Jeez. You wake up in the morning and a whole year's gone. Councilmember Green.
Anybody else have any comments? Otherwise, I'm going to move to approve ordinance 24-39, adopting the 2025 annual meeting schedule.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Green, seconded by Councilmember.
Hold on, let me,
Lamb.
adopting the substitute ordinance 24-39.
Second.
All right, we'll just pretend that was the first motion. And the motion was to approve ordinance 2439 as edited in the substitute. Motion made by Councilmember Green, seconded by Councilmember
Second.
Lamb. Seconded again by Councilmember Lamb. And that's enough. Okay. Any discussion to the motion? All right, let's vote.
Vice Chair Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Bador,
Yes.
Chair Jacob,
Yes.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Green.
Yes.
Thank you. I show the motion passes 7-0.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's see, we got business item now, 6B. That's as in Bravo, but we don't have a D, so it should be pretty easy. Ordinance 24-42. This is a petition requesting an amendment to the Dry Creek Highlands Sub-Area 1 Development Plan. It's tricky. You got a buzz? Wait, now move it. Yep. Yeah, we actually don't want people to leave. That's why that's like that. Ordinance 2439 adopting, that's the one we just did. Ordinance 2442, a petition requesting an amendment to the Dry Creek Highlands Sub-Area 1 Development Plan encompassing 89 acres of property located at 6400 West 90th South. We talked about this briefly 2 weeks ago, and we'll go to Council Director Anderson.
Yeah, just to preface it before you get into this, the council at the last meeting asked that the original item at the public hearing be split into two. and asked that the sub-area plan only come back at the September 11th meeting. So this is at the direction of the city council. This does not include the amendments to the MD. I just wanted to mention that before you got into the discussion.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, this does not have anything to do with pools or building permits or clubhouses. Councilmember Shelton.
I just wanted to ask Director Anderson why he passed up the opportunity to use the word bifurcate.
Councilmember Green has his mic on, so we'll find out. Councilmember Green.
Because never mind. I was just going to move to approve ordinance number 2442 with the petition requesting amendment to the Dry Creek Highlands Sub-Area 1 Development Plan.
I'll second.
Okay, motion to approve the ordinance by Councilmember Green, seconded by Councilmember Whitelock. Any discussion to the ordinance? Keep in mind, we also do have the applicant here if you have questions. Councilmember Whitelock?
I just want to thank staff for going back in and showing what was amended. It's really helpful for the council when we've gone through a large packet and read a lot of data, and then you make one or two changes. I understand that you know where you've made them, but it's very helpful that you put it and show that that's amended and what you've amended, so that, because otherwise I feel the need to review both of them and go back and forth, and that's a lot of time. And it's just more clarity for our public. So thank you for getting that done.
Thank you. Any further discussion to the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Shelton,
Yes.
Councilmember Bloom,
Yes.
Vice Chair Lamb,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitelock,
Yes.
Councilmember Green,
Yes.
Councilmember Bador,
Yes.
Chair Jacob.
Yes.
Thank you. I show the motion passes 7-0.
Thank you very much. Next item is the consent items, which is approving the meeting minutes. I had to get that in before somebody made a motion.
Move to approve the consent item.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 21st and 27th by Councilmember Green, seconded by Councilmember Whitelock. Any discussion to that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nope, that's why we call it consent. And we have reached the end of the agenda. Is there any further comments before we adjourn? Thoughts, pontifications?
It's not bad, an
Councilmember
hour
Green.
and 38 minutes by the clock on the clubhouse wall. So I'll say, I'm going to move to adjourn.
We'll
Our
take,
clubhouse?
we'll take the motion.
Approved.
We have a motion-
Second.
Motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor say aye. Thank you. We are adjourned.